Hey, this is John Lee Dumas, the founder and host of Entrepreneurs on Fire. And if you're wanting to learn how to embrace change and navigate through disruption as a leader, then listen to the Leadership is Changing podcast with my good friend, Denis. He's prepared to ignite.
Welcome to Leadership is Changing. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change. This is taking your leadership to another level by finding the balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing with your host, Denis.
Hey, welcome to the show, Leadership is Changing. What we as leaders know to be true is that change is constant. Leaders everywhere confront similar obstacles because people are people, but everywhere you go, leaders are overwhelmed, disrupted, and under pressure. They run from email to email, meeting to meeting. Many leaders are not changing quick enough, which means they run the risk of becoming irrelevant and being left behind. The purpose of the show is taking our listeners' leadership to another level by finding their balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. I believe we don't have enough effective leaders in the world today, and if we can get the leaders to step up and lead change, then they can inspire real change. Hey listeners, it's now time to adapt in our fast-moving world. Welcome to today's episode of the Ask Denis Freestyle episode, and this is whereby I'm asked a question by our listeners where I share my thoughts and insights and experiences with working with many leaders around the globe. Hey, if you haven't already checked out the Facebook group or the LinkedIn page, Leadership is Changing, I'd love to see you come along to those platforms and feel free to contribute about what your thoughts around leadership and change and how we should be leading change as leaders. All right, so this is, when this goes to air, this will be Christmas Eve in some countries and just going into Christmas Day in some others. And so we're going to talk about a topic in relation to about the year and what you need to do is start setting up the year ahead of you for success and how do you finish this year off strong as well. So it's one, to reflect. Number two will be about setting goals. And then the other one will be about taking a break, but also about bringing it home strong for the year. Well, this year has gone so fast, and yet it feels like that it's been years have gone past at the same time. And I think for a lot of us, it's been in relation to lockdowns and the pandemic and how life has been disrupted a lot, especially over the last 18 months to 2 years. But in particular, the last 12 months, and we've seen a different variant come out around the pandemic. And as we come towards the end of this year, another one we're looking at as well. People are saying to me that they're really looking forward to a break. In fact, they're hanging out for a break. They're physically, mentally, and emotionally tired. And they really are looking forward to this break. And some organizations, some companies have already finished for the year. That's right. They've a week out before Christmas, they've already taken the year to the end. They've finished. They're giving their staff extra time off, which is wonderful. Now, it depends where you are in the world. Northern Hemisphere is in winter. And of course, the Southern Hemisphere is in summer. And of course, for the Southern Hemisphere, this is where they take their holiday breaks for that summer break. So they'll be taking a little bit longer than other countries will. It's time that you do need to take a break. In fact, for a lot of you, you deserve a break. You've worked really hard and you've had to actually take a lot on, both emotionally and also, of course, mentally. And this has been a big toll on a lot of people. Now, you see, some countries do celebrate Christmas or the festive season, some others don't. And whatever is coming up for you, it's going to be a holiday season as we turn the page over for a brand new year as well. And I think it's a grand time. It's an excellent time for you to take time out now and to reflect on the year that's been. You see, 2021, what I'd like you to do is actually think about it. Now, what I'd like you to do, if you haven't already done so, get a sketch pad. And a sketch pad is a way that you can actually do some brainstorming, thinking about things and putting things together. Now, that sketch pad is going to allow you to brainstorm and put ideas and your thoughts and reflections down. So here are some things for you to start thinking about as you are reflecting on the year that's just been. 3 questions I get my clients, my coachees, the people that I'm coaching and I'm working with to start thinking about. Question 1 is, what went well? All right, so what's gone very well for you? And start thinking about that. Number 2 is, what could you have done differently? Now, you notice that question is not a question where I turn around and go, hey, what did you do wrong? Or what was a failure? Asking the question a little bit differently, right? So which is, what could you have done differently? Number 3 is now, what will you do differently going forward? Because we talked about what went well and what you could have done differently, but now let's talk about moving forward and learning from the reflection. The reflection is great time for us to take stock and think about what's happened, but also for us to learn from it, to grow from it, to build on the foundation as we move forward. Now, there's different areas I want you to think about and ask in those 3 different questions. And here they go in 2 main areas. What did you personally, you as an individual, what went well for you? What could you have done differently? And then what will be the thing, what will you now do differently going forward? Ask those 3 questions. We're going to call them reflection questions for yourself personally. Then I want you to also do the reflection and ask those 3 questions around your role, your work, your organization. We're going to sort of put that together as like a career side of things for you as well. So 2 different areas, you personally, and then secondly, it's around that work/career side of things for you to start asking those 3 different reflection questions. Now, we've talked about reflecting on the year. Let's now start thinking about setting goals for the new year coming ahead. When is a good time to set goals? Well, now is a good time to set goals. Any time is a good time to set goals. But don't wait until January or February, because you see, by the time you set the goals and you start to get momentum, you'll be into March. The first quarter will already be gone. So I'm going to encourage you to do this and do it now. You see, I've always set my goals between the break between Christmas and New Year. It's a time where it's very quiet. It's a time whereby we all start to relax more and we start to become a little bit more creative. This is where I start to look at all areas of my life, right from health, mental, fitness, right down to financial, into relationships, into work or business or career and spiritual, all different areas of my life I start to think about. And how many goals should you set? Well, you could set many goals in those different areas and what you might want to do, but then come up with 3 to 5 big, hairy, audacious goals. Ones that will scare you, ones that you have no idea how you're going to get there. Because if you did know how to get there, that's not a goal. It becomes a task. So I'm going to get you to start thinking about it, brainstorming, writing things down. Then I would actually recommend that you actually leave it for a day and come back and revisit it after one day. If you can leave it for 2 days, even better. Then go back and revisit it. Now, the beautiful thing here about this is that you can then go back and look at with it fresh eyes and get in there and start thinking about things. Too many people try and hurry it through or try and just write things down. It's not a tick in the box actually activity. It's something that's quite serious and one for you to think about and work on it and let it grow and let it sort of mature over time. Now, for a lot of people, as they set goals, you notice how I said 3 to 5 big, hairy goals, right? I didn't say 20. I didn't say 50. I'm going to encourage you to keep it simple. This is really preparing the foundation for things going forward. People ask me, well, how come you do your goals between Christmas and New Year? I've given you some examples or reasons before, but another big one for me is that if I do my goals between Christmas and New Year, what I'm doing is I'm finishing the year ahead before I even start it. And there's a big difference, right? So before I even start the year, I've finished it in my mind. I already know what I want to do. Then I just go out and do it and put it in place. Now, we have to remember one big thing here. So we're talking about reflecting on the year. We're talking about taking time out for a break to recover. And it's important for us that we do go and have a break, right? Because, as I said before, we are physically, mentally, and emotionally tired. We deserve a break. But it really is important for you to refresh, recharge, replenish your batteries. We all have like these batteries in us, or our energy tanks, as we said in a previous episode around the book, The Power of Full Engagement. And we've got our energy tanks, and we need to really to help develop those. Another very good thing for you to do and think about, of course, is getting into the sun and enjoying the sun. And if you're in the summer holidays, enjoying that. If you're in the winter, enjoying the snow and so forth. But there are some other things that are quite good for you. Now, I'm not one that tends to watch TV. However, this is what I will say to you. If you can get on your computer, on Netflix, other areas, other sort of live streaming sort of services, and you can get onto YouTube and you can watch some comedy and laughter is going to be a wonderful thing for you, especially when you're on the break. Now, the thing here for us now is that we've talked about, as I said before, reflecting, making sure we're taking a break, and then setting the goals. But then the next big thing for us is to understand that, hey, you've still got 7 days in this year to go. That's right. It's not over. And then what can you do to bring it home strong? In other words, what can you put in place today that might bring in the next deal, that might bring in the next piece of work for you, might bring in the next big idea for you as well, to set up the next year to be massive and awesome for you, your team, and your organization. Just from one idea, just from one thing that you might do between Christmas and New Year, those last 7 days could be the catalyst that sets you up for success for next year and years to come later. So I'm going to encourage you to not give up. Think about things, work through things. Yes, a lot of you want to have a break. Take time out. I get this. But I'm not saying you have to do this every minute of the day. Take some time to think through things, to go out then, go for a swim, go and do what you wanted to do. Go out skiing, then come back, look at the goals again and take from there. Team, the next year is going to be a massive year ahead of us. It's going to be a massive year ahead of us for many reasons. Businesses are going to flourish. Others are going to find that their businesses are going to go under. Others are going to come up with new ideas, a new idea, invention, and that will be born because it comes out of adversity. And then for others, that's just going to be time for change. There's going to be time for them to move on and do something differently. If you're in a career today and you're bored in your job, maybe it's time for you to turn the leaf or turn the page and start thinking about going off to go and do something else. You see, we would rather that you bring your A game and be the best that you can be around things that you're wanting to do rather than being bored. You see, this world deserves your talent and what you can offer. Don't hang on to it. Don't hold it to yourself. Go and share it with others. So feel free to go ahead and do things and put things in place, team. It's a fantastic time of the year. It's the end and the beginning. It's the bringing it home, and now let's set it up and go forward in the new year. It's a wonderful time. It's time for you to take a break. It's time for you to celebrate about the year. It's time for you to reflect. It's time for us to get on with things and make things happen. Team, it's going to be awesome. Have a wonderful Christmas and New Year if you're celebrating those. Have a wonderful festive season. Have a wonderful holiday season in whatever you're doing this year. And hope wishing you and your family and your loved ones all the very best for this Christmas season, festive season as we go into it very soon. So take time out, relax, enjoy the family, enjoy the time out, and enjoy the Christmas. Hey listeners, what we as leaders know to be true is that change is constant. Change is incredibly scary, especially with the unknown and unfamiliar territory. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing. Look out for the episodes as they're being released. Download them, have a listen, put a review and a rating. Feel free to share them with your friends, your family, and your network. Hey, if there's any feedback you'd like to give me about the show, or if there's a question you have for the Ask Denis Freestyle episode, then send me an email, dennis@leadingchangepartners.com. Hey, listeners, it's always a pleasure being with you. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Leadership is Changing with your host, Denis Giannoutsas. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change, inspiring executives and leaders to adapt and lead a bigger game in a fast-moving world.